It took Square Enix 12 years to finally finish development on Final Fantasy 15. And while the end result was a good game by many measures, it also felt needlessly bloated and meandering in many ways. There's a saying going around now that Final Fantasy 15 went from being the game that would never come out to being the game that would never stop coming out. With Square Enix producing several spin-offs, a ton of DLC expansions, a movie, an anime show, and much more, all in effort to get the most out of the project. And one of these spin-offs was born from this, Final Fantasy 15 Pocket Edition HD, a downgraded version of the game designed for weaker hardware. And while it does a great job of capturing the spirit of the original game, a little too much is left on the cutting room floor. And since my goal is to platinum and 100% every Final Fantasy game, I had to play this game as well. In terms of presentation, Pocket Edition HD opts for a low poly, chibi visual style game. Environments are full of chunky objects and buildings, and the characters are cute big-headed creations with fixed facial expressions. Pocket Edition is the sort of game that you play and then wonder why exactly it needs to exist. Though it does a great job of capturing the spirit of Final Fantasy 15 in several ways, it drops the ball in some others, resulting in a game that is already seen as something of a rough gem. To unlock the Platinum trophy, we have to obtain 52 trophies, where we need to play through the entire story, do combat challenges, complete every dungeon, cook some food, chill at the campfire with the boys, and of course the AP Grindfest. So let's start with our first trophy. The game opens with an exciting cutscene that transitions right into introducing our main characters, Noctis, Gladio, Prompto, and Ignis. After a mission briefing from Noctis' father, we earn our first trophy, Insomnia's Waking Nightmare. The journey truly begins with the iconic car pushing scene, where the group's road trip kicks off. Soon, we will arrive at Hammerhead gas station, with a broken car, meeting the wonderful Cindy, and of course, Sid. While the car is being repaired, we're doing some combat missions, and also we're gonna collect some items before we take on the side quest from Dave. This will eventually earn us the trophy, Monster Hunter. From there, we'll engage in some fights with some multiple enemies, unlocking the trophy Warp Assassin for defeating 8 enemies with the Warp skill. And before the first chapter ends, I will keep an eye out for 3 collectible trophies, finding all treasures, collecting ingredients for every recipe, and locating hidden cactuars. As the chapter closes, we head to our next destination, earning us the trophy, The Departure. The second chapter introduces dungeons, and these are packed with enemies and capped off by a boss fight. So on the way to the first dungeon, we engage in battles that unlock the Path of the Just trophy for parrying over 50 times. And as we move on, we discover a mysterious tomb, and this also allows us so we can talk about some trophies that highlight Noctis' heritage. So as the chosen king, Noctis must collect the legendary royal arms, scattered throughout the world of Eos. Each of these weapons comes with its own trophy, and I will explain more about his heritage in the real Final Fantasy 15 video. So we discover our first royal arm, which awards us another trophy, and finding all 13 royal arms is required to earn the Fateful Hair trophy. Before we reach the dungeon, there's a turret section where defeating 10 enemies grants the Say Hello to My Little Friend trophy. And once that's done, it's time to head to the dungeon for a boss battle against Ariadne. Successfully dodging her AoE attacks gives us the Icky trophy and concludes chapter 2, with another royal arm in hand, unlocking the trophy Power of the Conqueror. We start this chapter off in Lestallum, a lively hub with shops, quests, and secrets. Here we'll meet Iris, who's basically Noctis' biggest cheerleader. While exploring the town and getting a tour from Iris, I keep my eyes peeled for collectibles like the Cactuar statues, ingredients for recipes, and finding the hidden treasure. Before going on to the main event with Titan, we make our way to our next dungeon. And this is also a good time to tell you about one of the worst trophies of this game. There are a few dungeons in Pocket Edition, but we only have to clear 3 dungeons while killing all enemies for the trophy Path of the Tail. But this trophy is known for being a bit buggy because you have to walk through each dungeon multiple times just to make sure you've spawned and killed every enemy. And let me tell you, it sucks. So after making our way through this dungeon, we get the trophy Ice Ice Baby for breaking 4 icicles, and we obtain another royal arms for a trophy. A quick rest at the hotel, and we travel to Titan's domain. He suddenly appears, destroying everything around him, separating the party. And then it's time to face him. This massive dude doesn't pull any punches, literally. The fight mixes dodging, attacks, and doing quick time events. And if you pull off the quick time events successfully, you earn another trophy. And as you expected, I failed a couple times. After this sequence, without missing any quick time events and beating Titan, we unlock 2 more trophies, and we make our way towards the Chocobo outpost. We start this chapter off by the Wiz Chocobo outpost. This spot will give you a break from all the fighting. Noctis and his crew are on their quest to find one of the so-called Six, aka Ramu. But before we get to that, the first thing you want to do is interact with the Chocobos. Feed them, pet them, and just have fun with the little guys. And it's all about getting that no wrong way to love a Chocobo trophy. And Prompto, what the hell are you doing? We also explore the area a bit more for the hidden treasures, cactuars, and then continue the story. Somehow I got another trophy, and we find this weird place where we get visions of one of the 6. All of a sudden, it's nighttime, and that means something bad is about to happen. After escaping from the big iron giant, we're setting up camp. The story also wants us to ride the Chocobo so we can earn the trophy Duske Derby. And all we have to do is complete the level while double jumping over every obstacle. And trust me, it's way easier than it sounds. This leads to another dungeon with their next big encounter, the Naga, a massive snake that's waiting at the end. The Naga isn't kidding around with its ugliness, I mean its poison attacks, and it can wipe you out pretty quickly if you're not careful. But if you manage to avoid getting poisoned, you unlock that this place is literally the worst trophy. After the Naga fight, Noctis and the crew head to an Imperial base, where things get a little sneakier. And here is where we can obtain the Divine Intervention trophy. And after making our way towards the end of the base, we get into a boss fight with the big ass mech. But then Rumble appears. We earn the trophy and complete another chapter. As we progress through the game, you might start to notice the pattern this game is taking, which is quite obnoxious at this point. You drive the car, you collect all collectibles, you do the treasure hunts, and I'm currently just trying my best to go through the game as fast as possible because I'm really starting to dislike this game. And this also might be the reason why it took me 2 months to platinum it. While driving the car, we notice an Imperial ship. So for whatever reason, they decide to go after it, infiltrate another base, and then we'll try to beat up another mech boss. But after this, we get into a brawl with the hottest, and I'm telling you, the hottest Dragoon to ever exist, Arane Highwind. She's a baddie. Alright, no. She's also one of the bad guys, but more on that in the real game. And I also have to say, this is low-key one of my favorite fights because the quick time events looked really good. So after beating her, we of course have to do another dungeon where we can obtain the trophy Rubble Rouser for just destroying a bunch of rubble. As we follow Arden again, and if I haven't told you before, he is basically the big evil man of this game, we're gonna do a dungeon with Arane because Gladio is nowhere to be found. While fighting my way through this dungeon, I also earned 2 more combat related trophies, and now it's time for the final boss of this dungeon, Quetzalcoatl. I know this isn't the same bird from Final Fantasy VIII. Technically it is, I think. I don't know. It's still a bird, whatever. Anyway, sometimes during this fight, Arane has a prompt to do her special Dragoon attack. And executing the boss with this ability will grant us another trophy called the Dragoon Descents. And after all this, the gang reunites, but we have to get one more trophy called Some Like It Hot. Meaning we have to clear out the power plant within 2 minutes. We say our goodbyes to our friends, and together with Sid, we will set sail for Altissia. When we arrive at Altissia, we have to meet our future wife, Lunafreya. But in this game, the whole storyline about Noctis and Lunafreya is so rushed in my opinion. As I mentioned before, there's no point to bother with the story. So in Altissia, we can unlock the trophy Accordo Expert for completing every side quest in Altissia. So again, find all cactuars, do the treasure hunts. We also get a portrait drawn with the boys to unlock another trophy. And we look at the wedding dress from Lunafreya. After all this, a bunch of cutscenes happen, some political discussions, and eventually Lunafreya gets her own cool cutscene and calls upon the powers of Leviathan. And Leviathan is known for its appearance as the big water elemental snake dragon summoned in almost every Final Fantasy title. While we'll do our absolute best to confront Leviathan and of course failing a few times and beating him, we'll result in another 2 trophies, Callings and What Are You Doing for not failing any quick time events. After beating Leviathan, you'll see how Titan will appear in, I would say, a pretty cool cutscene as they did for like the chibi version. And after all this, we will board the train and head straight into our next chapter and slowly make our way to that platinum trophy. So being halfway with the trophies and halfway with the game, let me tell you why this game is so forgettable in my personal opinion. As a person who just loves Final Fantasy, this is a decent game at best for weaker hardware. But the way they rush through the story, the repetitiveness of the gameplay, is really starting to follow a Ubisoft concept. In Chapter 7, it's the same deal. We follow the story, and instead of using a car, we're now on the train. We have to find a hidden cactuar for the trophy, What a Prick, which is kind of a funny name, you know, because it's a cactus. You know, we go into a dungeon, defeat the boss for the trophy, This Is Fine, and dodging his attacks gets us another trophy, Minty Fresh, and we unlock another weapon for another trophy. So trying to look past this, I'm so close to the platinum trophy. So as we continue traveling with the train, we are almost nearing the end of the game where we can pop a ton of different trophies. After we explore a bit more, we manage to find all the hidden treasures and the final Cactuar collectibles. And as we slowly continue, we manage to get the final combat related trophy as well, called Path of the Rogue, for starting a battle over 30 times using the Warp Strike command. So after Noctis ventures on into the snowy terrain, we get a glimpse of Shiva, which unlocks Breath of the Glacian. And we get into another scene with Ardyn, or is it Ardyn? I don't know. And during this cutscene, we'll get another weapon, the Trident of the Oracle, for the Faithful Hair trophy. So as we reach chapter 9, we are 12 trophies away from the Platinum trophy. And next up are the following 4 trophies for this chapter: A King's Struggle, Might of the Tenebrea, Redemption, and whatever, Medal of Distinction. This part of the game is the worst thing ever. Not only is the party split up, but you only have the power of a ring. Endless corridors, fighting a ton of enemies, and this section took me a long ass time. Knowing this part of the game was supposed to be thrilling, it felt more pushing myself to get it done. I think my favorite part was pretending to be Solid Snake for a hot minute and try not to be spotted by the Iron Giant. So after a solid 1 or 2 hours, we managed to get to one of the final bosses of this game, Ravus. And by beating him, while again dodging one of his attacks, we not only earn the trophy Might of the Tenebrea, but we also get another Royal Arms for the trophy A King's Struggle. We then get sucked into a battle we simply can't win, and the only thing we can do is run away. Gladio, Prompto, Ignis tell Noctis to move on and leave them behind. Noctis then runs away and he meets with one of the mighty 6, Bahamut. Bahamut then bestows us with the power to defeat Ardyn, and this moves the timeline to the future, resulting in the trophy Redemption. So before we move on to the final chapter of the game, we do a little bit more of driving the car, earning the trophy Medal of Distinction, and go into the future a couple of years. Then Noctis wanders the dark streets all by himself, and then he meets up with a familiar face. That familiar face then brings him back to the good old Hammerhead Station, where everything began in this game, and then we finally meet up again with our friends. And in my opinion, this is definitely one of the best moments of this game. Despite what I've been saying about the game, I think the music and the cutscene really captures the emotion quite well. And this gives us 2 more trophies, World of Ruin, and we unlock the final recipe for the last time with the boys at the campfire for the trophy Cooking Expert. The crew now finds their way back to the Citadel to confront Ardyn. But if you remember at the beginning of the video, there was a little bit of a fiery scenery, meaning we have to beat Ifrit first. We beat Ifrit by summoning Bahamut and Shiva. Man, I'm not gonna lie, this cutscene is low-key kinda sick. We then face off against Ardyn, and after a few minutes of just spamming square, we defeated him, granting us another trophy, the Cure for Insomnia, which what feels like to me is a very anticlimactic fight. We then get a few flashbacks to all the areas we visited before, and how all the monsters disappeared after defeating Ardyn, and showing us that peace has been restored to the world of Eos, unlocking the trophy Homecoming for completing Pocket Edition. And now to clean up for the final 3 trophies, after running the dungeons many times, I finally managed to kill every enemy in 3 different dungeons. We also found the last Royal Arm, which I apparently missed at some point in the game. And after a few hours of AP grinding, we got the trophy Self-Mastered, earning us the Platinum trophy. Thank you all so much for watching this video, and I really hope you enjoyed it. This video wouldn't have been possible without the support of all of you, your patience, and of course, the Knights of the Round community. Feel free to leave a like, comment, subscribe, or maybe even becoming a member yourself. And if you want to stay updated on everything I do, feel free to join the Discord, and I'll see you in the next video.